Hi, everyone. I'm Charlene Shirk. Welcome to Digital Champions, where we speak to some of the most innovative thinkers in the digital space. And joining us today, all the way from Aldershot, UK, is Marc Caulfield with Marc Caulfield Ltd. Marc, thank you so much for joining us today from over the pond.
Your pleasure. Lovely. Good to see you.
Oh, it is so good to see you. So this is a show about digital marketing and digital marketing techniques. And you've been in that space. You've been in the PR space, the digital advertising space. And as any digital marketer knows, it is a nonstop 24/7 feed the beast machine, which really puts you in a position where I think maybe a lot of digital marketers and marketers find themselves in. So we're going to pivot this conversation a little bit from what we normally have on this show. Tell us a little bit about your backstory and what your focus is now.
Sure. I spent 28 years in the advertising world. I was predominantly in the media world, a media planner buyer, worked through a variety of different businesses and ended up being a director of one of the Group M, WPP, digital media agencies. And throughout my time, I struggled to a certain extent with, the crazy hours, 15-hour days, 7 days a week, pitch after pitch after pitch, and partied probably too hard as well, being honest with you. And I got to a point when really I suppose, fell over. My mental health started to really, really struggle, and I got a real interest in looking at how the industry, the advertising industry as a whole, starts to look after its people better. I found very much so that the moment you put your hand up to say, I'm struggling, often that wasn't met with the kindest feedback. Sometimes it was deemed that you're weak and you're not on your A game anymore. So therefore, you are going to be kind of overlooked for things. And I was a board director by this point, but fundamentally, I started to really struggle. And I felt there is a place for someone to run a consultancy business that looks after people and starts to understand that and try to get leaders within agencies to understand their most important thing they have is their people. And you cannot continue to beat people up and push people until they crack. Chuck them out and get a new one. This was really about looking at how you teach managers to understand how people might be struggling, to spot the signs of difficulty in someone and themselves, learn to have those difficult conversations, and learn to listen effectively and start to look after their people. Agencies always talk about people first. They always talk about, our people are our most important thing, but very rarely do they actually act like that. Fundamentally, if we're honest, generally speaking, it seems to be focused much more on clients and what I've focused my business on.
And, Marc, it's interesting you say that because so much after, the trauma that a lot of people experienced through COVID. I mean, there was trauma associated with it, not just the physical illness, but the mental and the psychological of the fear of a pandemic, of, switching gears and working from home. And then also come back to work. I don't want to come back to work. I like this space. There was a mental shift, but yet as and corporate culture became a big thing, right? Even in the marketing space, I'm going to bring it back to digital marketing and marketing. Now the trend post-COVID is let's talk about what is the corporate culture. It's not so much about selling a product. It's about solving someone's problem. It's about meeting customers where they are. So it seems from a digital marketing trend or theory, the industry has embraced it. But as you said, we still see leaders and not to, Elon Musk is kind of an easy target right now, but coming in and just, scorched earth type of management. So we're saying that we know consumers are responding to a different approach, but yet internally within the institutions of companies, are we truly seeing that change? And so I'm gonna throw it back to you to talk a little bit about, are you being met with resistance, more openness? And you're talking about training leaders. How can that help leaders at the end of the day have better people? Because if you're just burning and churning them out, you really can't get the best out of anybody for any type of longevity or succession.
Absolutely. I think the one thing I've learned over the last 4 or 5 years of doing what I do now is that unless you get very senior board level buy-in, so unless you get CEO level, president level in the States or managing director level buy-in, to actually understand that these people are incredibly important to their business, you never really succeed anywhere. And this is about trying to attract and retain the best talent. The best talent is only ever going to stay in organizations that behave in the right way. I used to talk about it being the Sunday night terrors. And, that feeling of on a Sunday night, lying in bed, dreading the next day, that's unacceptable. And that's not an acceptable way for anyone to live. And so I just feel it's about leaders really, really embracing the fact that the most important thing any organization has is its people. You must look after those people. You must allow those people to reach their full potential within your organization by nurturing them and by looking after them and by understanding that not everyone is going to be on their A game all the time. It's impossible. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone has times when they're struggling. And a brilliant leader listens to that. And a brilliant leader, in my experience, is actually often leaders who are brave enough to put their hand up and say, you know what, I struggle sometimes as well. I've been there. And actually appreciate that people have a broader life than just work. You cannot separate your life to your work life. The two things join hand in hand. And that, I think, is really important for people to really appreciate, you know what, we're humans. We struggle. Sometimes we struggle. And it's really, really brave for someone to put their hand up and admit that.
Well, Marc, thank you so much for being that person to put your hand up and tell everybody else it's okay. Because what you're talking about is, it can be across the board to any industry, but with this particular industry, yes, this is truly a 24/7 job. Marc, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure meeting you.
My pleasure. No worries. Thank you very much.
And if you'd like to learn more about what Marc's doing, is Marc Caulfield Unlimited. And if you would, if you're a leader, I highly encourage you to. You'll get the best out of your people. You can start by checking him out on dailyadbrief.com. Well, I'm your host, Charlene Shirk. Thank you so much for joining us today on Digital Champions. We look forward to learning something new with you next time.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household-level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.